We human beings spend so much time concerned with, singing about, making stories about, going to war over things which are not physical. Therefore, it is a shame to just brush that incredibly important and even staggering truth aside. Love, truth, hope, justice, forgiveness, greed, insult, and lies are all really important things, and yet they are non-physical or metaphysical. Yet many deny that there is a non-physical reality to our human experience. Hi, my name is Tim, and in this video I'm going to make it quite clear that non-physical things both exist and are extremely important. As we saw in part 1, the only reasonable cause for the existence of complex machines with interdependent subsystems, whether those machines are made of inorganic materials, metal for example, or organic materials, cells for example, is that a designer or creator must exist to account for those machines. We saw that the mathematics of probability, a tool and discipline used extensively by scientists in their work, concludes that complex organic machines with interdependent subsystems could not have created themselves through mere random chance and natural forces. That should be an exciting and eye-opening fact and realization for many who have believed the irrational cause of naturalistic evolution. Let us move forward to something I alluded to in part 1 of this three-part series. In the prior video, we learned that people who are physicalists believe that there is no reality beyond matter and energy. While this view is not held by many people on the earth, it is held by many influential people in positions of power and influence. Many scientists and college professors are physicalists, and many look to them as authorities. Also, many famous people like actors, media personalities, wealthy people, or politicians also promote the physicalist view. Since the few but influential believe it, it is promoted all over the world, and sadly it is gaining traction. As we saw in the previous video, many think science, and by extension scientists, are the ones who will solve all of humanity's greatest problems. This is an irrational belief that only makes sense if you deny the actual biggest problems like greed, hatred, vengeance, conflict, to name few of the most obvious, and restrict greatest problems to things technology can solve. The simple truth is that technology cannot solve selfishness, fear, or self-pride, and the hatred that fear and self-pride generate, and all the evils those three metaphysical capabilities and predispositions of human beings create. So let's take a step back and start with the basic claim that human beings are nothing more than atoms, molecules, acids, proteins, cells, tissue, organs, and organ systems with a bit of biochemical energy. Is this view rational, or can it be validated by observation, our abilities, and experiences? Please consider this question. Which scientific test or experiment is going to prove that the thing called justice, for example, is physical? The obvious answer is that no scientific experiment or observation is going to prove that justice is physical, for justice is not physical, and yet justice is one of the metaphysical concepts that people spend their lives pursuing. If you ask a physicalist a question like, how exactly do physical things like molecules or cells, the building blocks of our bodies, create our free will or our desire for justice or forgiveness? Or how exactly does energy cause thoughts, reason, or logic? The physicalist will not have a rational answer to those questions. Why? Well, because we human beings exist in a realm that is more than merely matter and energy. A computer is a great analogy to we human beings. It is no coincidence that we create things that are like us. Any lessons to be learned there? A computer has hardware and software. The hardware provides the platform and interface for the software to operate and be used. The software is electronic bits of data, which data can be used to form a code which people can use as a language. In the same way, the physical attributes of our body provides a framework, platform, and interface for our soul to express ourselves. The operating system that is the basis of the human mind uses the brain and nervous system, the hardware of the CPU, memory, etc., to communicate what our soul wants to convey. Please consider that the brain is clearly distinct from the mind, just like a computer's hardware is distinct from the operating system's software coding. If you damage a computer's hardware, the software may not function properly. In the same way, when you damage the human brain, the mind might not be able to function properly. In reverse manner, when people have had no physical injury to their brain yet go insane through experiences, their mind gets damaged, probably restricted, blocked, or in an illogical loop would be better terms, and can no longer function correctly, thus proving that the mind is distinct from the brain. To believe that we human beings are merely matter and energy is just as irrational as believing that a computer's hardware and electricity are what causes its software to exist and its applications to function. No, human beings with minds used reason and logic to write code in a software language that enables the applications to exist and function. In the same way, the creator of human beings used a really advanced metaphysical code to create and program our mind's operating system. We clearly live and exist in a realm that has a metaphysical dimension to it. That metaphysical dimension is interwoven with the physical dimension, just like water is interwoven with a sponge, or like software is integrated into computer hardware. Our mind, metaphysical, is interwoven and integrated with our brain, physical. Think about a play you have gone to see and experienced, perhaps a play on Broadway or just in your local school auditorium with your children. Perhaps the play was a serious and touching story conveying love or hope or tragedy. Perhaps the play was a comedy. Whether the story stirred your emotions, a metaphysical cause, or brought a new understanding, a metaphysical ability, a message, metaphysical, was conveyed. Now imagine after that play someone came up to you and said, "So what did the bricks and mortar of the theater and the wood stage and lighting and performers' costumes convey to you?" You should do a double take and say, "What?" The fact is, the performer's words, metaphysical, and actions, which communicated metaphysical concepts, conveyed the story and the meaning you received from the story. The physical attributes of the theater or the performers were merely the props and vehicles used to convey the message and meaning of the story. In the same way, it would be irrational for someone to believe that the physical things that make up a computer's hardware, for example, are what enables the useful or important functions of a computer. The computer's hardware merely provides the platform for the play, so to speak. In reality, it is the software applications that make a computer useful to people, software that is programmed by human minds to perform certain functions. Let's turn a corner. People are conditioned to believe that their body is what or who they are, or that our bodies are the fullest or highest representation of what or who we are. This is a reflection of the physicalist mindset or the denial of some obvious and important things. To believe our body is primary in what or who we are is a wrong, deficient, and sad belief that causes many problems. The fact is that our bodies are merely our hardware, while our soul, operating system, and applications represent and express what and who we really are. How can I illustrate or prove this truth? There was a woman named Jennifer. She is a vibrant person with a distinct personality and various beliefs about what is important and valuable in this world. She is a friendly and kind person, loves her husband David, and has good relationships with several friends. Jennifer gets caught in her house when a fire occurs, and she is very badly burned in that fire. Let us assume that medical technology advances to the point where they can amputate a person's head from their body, a reasonable speculation. Jennifer's body was so badly burned and destroyed that they had to amputate her body from her head. Her face was also badly burned and disfigured beyond recognition. Due to her body's damage, she was in a coma, but she woke up and regained full consciousness and discovers her body is gone and her face is unrecognizable. The question is Jennifer a different person metaphysically after she lost her body and became disfigured beyond recognition? Please listen carefully to the prior question. The question is not, is Jennifer adversely affected by her experience and circumstances? For almost all people would be severely impacted by a circumstance like that. No, the question is, did who Jennifer is change? Did Jennifer become someone other than Jennifer? Did her ability to love or value things or her beliefs get destroyed? Did she lose her memories? Did her ability to have relationships with her husband or friends change? Did she become less of a human being? The answer to those questions is clearly no, because Jennifer is not her body. Rather, what makes Jennifer who she is her heart, her free will, her soul, her conscience and emotions, and her mind, her ability to reason and to know. Jennifer's body is merely one half of what she is, and its purpose is to enable Jennifer to express herself, communicate with others, and interact with the physical realm she currently exists in. Who Jennifer is a unique human being whose software operating system enables her to express who she is through her heart or free will, her soul including her conscience and her emotions, and her mind through which she uses reason and logic to know what is true or false. Those metaphysical attributes to what we are as human beings, our will, conscience, and ability to reason and know, are what give us the ability to choose who we are, our choices about, what we do with the life we are given, what is valuable and worth pursuing in this life, how we treat other people, what we choose to believe is right or wrong, and how we behave accordingly. And yes, our choice with what to do about the fact that a designer and creator must exist, and that creator must have given us attributes that he or she values and thus want us to be guided by, use, or respond to. If we are more than merely a body, and we surely are, what implications does that truth bring with it? We have already seen in the prior video that human beings must have a creator to account for merely our body's design. When we start to acknowledge our non-physical or metaphysical human attributes, like our ability to reason or our desire for justice or forgiveness, one question should burn in our minds. Why, or even just how, do we have those capabilities and concerns? All things that exist have some cause behind them. The fact, for example, that we are so concerned with justice indicates the one who created us is also concerned with justice. The same can be said for many metaphysical concepts like love, forgiveness, and compassion. We were given metaphysical tools or attributes, for example, our mind and its ability to use reason and logic, to use in our human experience. And we were given metaphysical concepts like love, forgiveness, justice, to guide our interactions with other human beings. Finally, we were given free will to choose what we do with those important concepts. Least of all, we were given a physical means, our bodies, to express our metaphysical abilities and concerns. The fact that we human beings spend so much time and energy seeking to implement justice or to find true love, for example, clearly point to the fact that one who designed and created us and instilled in us such concerns has an interest in us and how we handle those concerns. The physicalist will claim that love, for example, is caused by hormones or other such biological impulses or drives. They can only plausibly believe that by doing two things. First, by defining love to fit their beliefs. So, for example, love is defined as sexual attraction or merely emotional or chemical and nothing more. The truth is that the highest form of love is selfless behavior motivated by compassion. That highest form of love is about what we value, purely a metaphysical perception that has nothing to do with physical things. Second, physicalists will deny that emotions are caused or initiated by metaphysical experiences or perceptions. For example, a person does not get angry due to a physical cause like an anger hormone being released. No, rather they get angry because, for example, someone insults them or they believe they are treated unfairly. The experience of unfairness was entirely a metaphysical processing of the event. Stated another way, a person was treated wrongly, for example, insulted by another person, insult being a metaphysical understanding, and then they experience emotions, often anger or offense, associated with the metaphysical experience of being insulted. Our emotions are what makes us sentient beings, or beings that have emotions associated with the experience or perceptions we have. Our emotions do release certain chemicals into our body, but those chemicals are a result, not a cause of our metaphysical perceptions. Thus, our emotions are not purely metaphysical, like our ability to reason and know. Our emotions are what paint or give fullness to our experiences. For example, when our daughter asks for forgiveness for a wrong she committed and she tells us she loves us, that metaphysical expression causes emotions that make that expression and experience richer, fuller, and more meaningful. Since more and more people are denying a metaphysical or spiritual reality, they are left with the false belief that emotions are the only thing that is real or meaningful. Choosing to be guided or driven by emotions is lowering ourselves to a level lower than animals, for even animals are programmed with instinct, which is higher than their emotions. In choosing feelings over facts, we are rejecting fundamental truths about human beings, namely, that we have a conscience to know ethically what is right from wrong, and we have a mind to reason and perform logic so we can know what is true or false. The statement, "how I feel about it," when made in the context of important decisions involving what is right or wrong, or finding what is true or false, is the hallmark of those who are leaving or have left reason as the basis to understand their life on this planet. Stated another way, those who use emotional feelings to make decisions are indicating they have no objective standard that they look to in order to know what is ethically right or wrong, or what is existentially true or false. Simply stated, they are lost in a forest of their own making. So, what does the fact that we as human beings have a will, soul, and mind mean? And what does the fact that people have the ability to understand, care deeply about, and pursue metaphysical things like love or justice, for example, mean? What it means should be obvious to those who use reason well. It means that the same creator who designed our bodies, hardware, also created our metaphysical components and abilities, software. Creating reasoning sentient beings with a conscience who can know good and evil naturally brings with it consequences. What about you, dear viewer? Can you see that you are more than molecules and energy? Do you acknowledge the simple, self-evident truth that you have a will, soul, and mind? Can you see that your soul has its ability to know what is right from wrong, your conscience, and that by having that ability, your Creator has a good reason for giving it to you? Is it possible that even though you largely ignore your conscience and live a selfish life, you will still be accountable for those choices even though you deny that now? What about your mind? You can reason and know truth from falsehood. Your Creator gave you a mind to reason and to seek and know what is true and real and valuable. If you don't use that ability, isn't it reasonable to expect that the Creator will somehow hold you accountable for ignoring or wasting that ability and the consequences of doing so? Is it possible that if you use your mind with all your heart and soul, you will find what your Creator wants you to find? And if you don't, then are you not part of the problem instead of being part of the solution? In our next video, we will expose the false beliefs that those who reject the Creator often use to justify their rejection. We will also learn what the Creator considers most important for we human beings. Until then, may you ask, seek, and knock. Question important things like why you are living the life you are given and what you are truly living for. And may you be inspired to hear His voice, forsake all the world considers valuable, find His freedom and love, and come, join the peaceful revolution.